everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. Really apologize for joining a bit late. There's just some technical errors. Okay, so I hope you're all doing great, and I believe we have all applicants, everyone who has applied for the Outreachy internship starting in May to August of this year. I believe we have everyone here. If you think one of your friends, your sisters, or your colleague, or yeah, your friends or other applicants like you have not joined this chat is going to be really beneficial to them. Please call their attention, tell them the associate chats have started so that they can join and ask any question. So if you have any question, feel free to drop in the chat. We have other Outreachy organizers in the chat that are going to be answering as many questions as possible. I have some wonderful guests with me as well today. I'm going to be bringing them up soon, and they're going to be sharing their experience and as well answering any of your questions that is directed to them. So, feel free to introduce yourself in the chat. I'm going to be looking through that. You can tell us where you're joining us from today. If you're joining us from any continent, just let us know. We all know that Atochi is a program that support diversity in tech for everyone from all over the world. Okay, so let's get started. I'm Omotola Eunice Omotayo. I'm one of the Outreachy organizers, and at Outreachy, I serve as the community manager. And today's conversation is we're going to be talking about how you can prepare and tackle the Outreachy contribution stage. And today I have with me Outreachy current interns, and I'm going to be asking them to introduce themselves. But before we go on, I want you all to know that the initial application has closed and the result is going to be up soon. So you should get your result by 6th of March via email. And when the result is out, maybe you didn't get yours on time, you can as well check on your Outreachy portal. Okay, so that being said, we are going to be having this chat. We're going to be starting the contributions stage with this coffee chat, and we are also going to be having more chats during the contribution stage. I'm going to be giving you more details on that very soon. Let me move to my guests. So I have Allan, I have Monsurat, and I have Haleema. So I'm going to call them one after the other to do their introduction, and they're going to be doing that in this format. They will tell us their name, where they're joining us from, the Outreachy community they are working with, and what they are doing. That's their role. So let's start with Haleema. Hi, Haleema. Thanks for joining us today.
Hello, everyone. I hope everyone is well. So, first of all, giving a little bit disclaimer that my voice might break a little bit because I have a sore throat. So, so I'm Haleema Khan. I'm currently based in Islamabad, Pakistan. And I am part of the internship round. Currently, I'm in the final week of my internship. So, I was part of the December to March round, and the organization I'm interning with is OISF, which stands for Open Information Security Foundation, and I worked as a software engineering intern on their tool called Suricata, which is generally you can say that it's something related to cybersecurity with a lot of development in Rust and C. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Alima, for joining us. Really sorry about your health right now, and I think with this, we appreciate you more for joining us, despite the fact that you
Glad to
you
be
you
here.
have code. So thank you so much. It's a privilege to have you join us today. So I'll move over to Alan. Hi, how are you doing? Thanks for joining us today.
Hi Eunice and hi everyone. I am Allan Wasega. I'm based in Nairobi, Kenya. I'm a current Jupyter Hub intern, so I'm working with Jupyter Hub and as a technical writer. So what I've been doing is restructuring their documentation using a framework called Taxis. And my internship is actually coming to an end on 3rd. That's this Friday. And thank you so much for having me aboard. Back to you, Eunice.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today. I know our audience can't wait to like learn so much from you. So I think I missed something, or maybe the guest forgot to add that. So when you introduce yourself, please tell us like what you do with the Outreachy community. So if you're a technical writer, I'm just emphasizing on that in case you've done that, you can skip. If you're a data scientist, because I know one of the goal here is to ensure we have interns from diverse background, um, diverse career paths, so that we can show the applicants that in in as much as they are interested in contributing to open source, Outreach will welcome them to join. And so let's move to our last guest for now. We might have one more person join us during the course of the chat. Okay, Monsurat. Hi, Monsurat. Over to you now.
Hi, Eunice. Hi, everyone. My name is Onabajo Monsurat. I am calling in from Nigeria. I am a data scientist at Outreachy for the Exchange and Convergence initiative. That is the MoDECI initiative. There, I work on documentation, advocacy, just little here and there, but it is mostly data.
Okay, thank you so much. Please, for the sake of our guest, if you feel more comfortable putting your video off, maybe you think that will save your internet bandwidth, please feel free to do that. And yeah, we want everyone to be comfortable. All right. So thank you so much for the introduction. Just like I mentioned, we have Asuchi. For those that are just joining us, Asuchi is a remote paid internship program that encourage everyone, regardless of their background, to contribute to open source and open science projects. So each of our interns gets a data stipend of 7,000 USD. And the Asuchi program has three stages. We have the initial application stage, we have the contribution stage, and we have the internship itself. So for the May 2023 to August 2023 round, the initial application have closed, and coming forth is the contribution stage. That's after the results of the initial application is being announced. And today we have people who have passed through these stages and have gotten to the last stage. So they are here today to share their experience of how they pick their projects. They're going to be talking about how they pick their projects, how they reach out to their mentors, how they started working on their projects, what they did that made them like stood out during their own period. So once again, stay tuned. Feel free to jot things down because it's going to be very insightful. If you have questions, please feel free to drop the questions. So I'm just going to get started with the other questions that we have now. And I'm going to start with Alan. So Alan, can you tell us before Outreachy internship, do you have like a prior experience contributing to open source?
So funny thing, no, I had not contributed to any open source project before, and that was one of the things. Maybe we'll get to it later, but that was one of the things that I was really hesitant about even just getting into Outreachy, because I always thought it's this program that you have to have experience with open source projects. But then funny thing is, yeah, I'm here talking in this platform because even despite not having been an open source contributor, so it's still possible to even just get into the program even though you don't have any experience with open source projects. So
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. And I'm very sure you're not the only one who have probably passed through Astrachi, who is currently passing through Astrachi, or is going to pass through Astrachi without having like any experience contributing to open source. So for those applicants that are probably thinking, oh, I don't think I'm qualified for this because I've not contributed to open source before, these are results. These are persons who have not participated before, and they are now an intern. So let's move over to Halima. Halima, do you want to share your open source experience? Do you have any experience contributing to open source before Outreachy?
So for me, it is quite similar to what Alan just said. I did not have any prior open source experience, but at the same time, when I heard about Outreachy from one of my friends and some other people, like to get myself comfortable with the whole process, I tried to contribute to a few communities, which were very basic contributions, like fixing spellings or things like that. Because I'm mentioning this because prior to that, I had this notion that to be able to contribute to open source, you have to have some, uh, you know, a great level of expertise and be at that expert level in some technology to be able to contribute. But this was not the case. So yeah, you can also consider me as a beginner who later found out that to be able to do this and open source contributions, it does not matter that you have so much of an experience or you are an expert in some technology. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Alima, for highlighting that. Just like Alima mentioned, you don't need to be an expert in open source contribution to get into Outreachy. Yeah, so let's move over to Monsurat. Hi, Monsurat. Do you have any experience contributing to open source before you joined Outreachy?
I prior to when I joined Outreachy, I have not contributed to like a serious open source, a like an organized open source community before, but I have worked on projects with like couple of people and we hosted the project on GitHub. So I would say I've contributed to open source and I would say I've not contributed to open source, but it's just like the same experience of getting a project and pulling it, copying it to your machine offline and working on it and pushing it back. I've had that experience by coming to into Outreach.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much. So thank you so much. Let me kind of mute you. Monsurat, you can mute yourself. Thank you so much for sharing that. Just like Monsurat mentioned, somehow she has find a way to contribute or be part of project building on GitHub, but not officially contributed to open source before. So thank you. So my next question is, I wanted to ask you, Ayu. I should ask you how you got like know about Outreachy, but I think we should skip that now because now we are preparing the applicants for the contribution stage. They've already applied. But one way or the other, if that is going to like strengthening your answers, please feel free to add that briefly. So the questions I have now, okay,
One way or
let
the
me
other,
go to the
if that
next
is going to
question.
like strengthening
Okay. Okay, so let me ask the next question I have now is and I will start with Alima. So Alima, what are some things that you did to prepare yourself for your application? To prepare yourself now, let's talk about the contribution stage. What are the things after your application? What are those steps you took?
Um, okay, so there are a bunch of things that I did, and it was mostly, you can say, learning from others people's experience for the most part, because when you are starting to prepare for the contribution phase, you are at a point where you don't know how the contributions are going to be, you don't know what kind of issues you will be working on. So it's like something that has helped me really is first to understand what this organization is about, what their work is about. And one of the most like what I prefer is, so an organization could be doing very complex kind of work which you being a newbie might not understand. But if you go through uh, blog posts of other interns who have interned with similar organization, then they were also at a point where you are right now, where they did not know about this organization, where they did not know what steps they needed to take, and they took those. So it's always great to learn from those blog posts. All the interns write some material and put it out for everyone to see. So that is really helpful. Apart from this, since I was new to open source, so I also spent some time each day learning about, the whole contribution process, and not being community specific, but being like generally how to make open source contributions, how to make PRs, how to incorporate feedback, and then the most important thing that has helped me is talking to past interns. So if you have anyone around you who has gone through a similar experience, then it would be great, because the outreach interns and alums are really really helpful. So if you have even if you don't know them, but you mention that you are an applicant and you are going to contribute, then they will be more than happy to help you. So the whole community is really helpful. So even if you reach out to people on other online platforms and mention that you are intending to contribute, then the interns would be alums would be there for you. They are going to guide you, and that has helped me a lot, because it has made me realize that uh, this is something that is not unachievable or not doable at all, because it might get overwhelming when you approach the contribution phase.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And I must say that is very important. Some persons might be asking, yes, we've submitted the initial application. What's the next thing? What should I do? You've learned from what Haleema explained of how she continued like reading past interns contributions, and they were learning new things, they were learning more about the communities, and they were preparing themselves for the uh, contributions phase itself. So thank you so much, Alima. Let's move to Mansurat now. Mansurat, what are the things you did after submitting your initial application?
Okay, so after I submitted my initial application, like Alima mentioned, I actually went blog X blog to read the X blog post of X intern blog post. Yes, I'm sorry about that. Then after I actually went to the community to look at what skill set they need. Then I actually bookmarked like three communities that that requires the skill set that I have, and that was what I basically did. So when the contribution phase was open, it made me like quick to like choose the community that I want to work with, and I was part of the people that actually sponsoring early. So that's what made me successful in contribution phase.
Awesome, awesome. Mansurat was able to contribute early during the contribution stage because of the preparatory steps they have taken. Or yeah, so thank you so much for sharing that. So now, hey Helen, let's hear from you. What are the steps you took to prepare yourself after submitting your initial application?
Thank you. So for me, actually, I never thought I'd get in. That was the very first thing. I just made my application, and it's one of those things you do, but then don't really expect much out of it. That was my perspective. But then the thing was, you asked the question kind of in passing, like how we got to know about Outreachy. And so for me, I belong to a community. It's a mentorship program in Kenya. And the benefit of that is a mentorship program for students pursuing computer science related degrees at the university level. And the benefit of belonging to that community was we have had like a lot of, not a lot, like two or three of our alumni have also been outreach interns before. So with me, I had that group of people with whom I could talk about their, experience with outreach, what exactly were they doing, how did they get in, and what can someone do. So apart from just talking to them, the other thing was they mentioned to me that a lot of our workflows, a lot of the things that we'll be doing will be on GitHub. So a lot of the communities have things on GitHub. So I had to ensure that I am really comfortable with the entire GitHub workflow. So I remember having an account and then a fake one in an email with another different email address. So if I open a PR or if I do an issue, how does it reflect on this other end? And then how do I resolve a comment that someone has made? And that kind of really prepared me for when my application was accepted, because indeed they became really important. So one thing that I'd say is, yeah, like a lot of people, a lot of the projects will be GitHub based. So please ensure that you work on your Git skills, because then they'll really come in handy should you become accepted. And as Halima said, please talk to other people within your networks, talk to us, talk to anyone, because just having some background information that can really prepare you for, what to expect when you get in. Back to you, Eunice.
Okay, thank you so much. I can see we have our last guest in the backstage. Hi, Redeem. I'm going to bring you up stage now. Hi, Redeem. You're muted.
You're muted.
So I think you should.
So I think you.
Okay, so Redeem, check your browser if you try to join in multiple tabs. Make sure all tabs are closed and ensure to only leave one tab on. I think that's where we are hearing the feedback from. So once you're ready, just let me know and I'm going to add you back. We look forward to hearing from your experience, sharing your experience with our audience. So just ensure all tabs are closed except one. Okay, so let's move on to the next questions. For our viewers, thank you so much for joining once again. I can see you're answering questions, and Sage, one of the Outreachy organizers, is there in the chat answering some of these questions. But if at any point you also have questions for our guests, Monsurat, Alima, Halan, and Reading, that is going to be joining soon, please feel free to ask. And when it's time for questions and answers, they are going to be sharing more insights on that. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. The next question is kind of like the question I asked previously. I remember I asked previously why what are the things you did to prepare yourself for the contribution stage. Now, I want to ask about the contribution stage itself. So when the result was announced, like how the results for the initial application is out, what was should I ask that what were the steps you took, or should I say what are the things you did? Like, how did you check if you were picked? How did you reach out to your project community, your mentor? Just summarize the steps that you took for us. So let's start with Monsurat. Hi,
Okay,
Monsurat.
so when the result of the initial application came out, I actually because I did the mail early, everyone was saying they got the mail, and I actually had to like log into my Outreachy website. So that was where I saw that congratulations with the choosing next step, blah blah blah. Then I actually went to my because I've highlighted most of the organizations, the communities that I want to work with. Then I was able to read about them because that was when everything, what they want you to do, everything will be there. So I actually do their contribution, what they want for their contribution, what they are expecting from intern, and so I pick my community, that is the MoDECI community. Then I emailed the community coordinator. After emailing, he said I should message them on GitHub. The link to the GitHub profile was there. Then I was able to message them. That was when I met other community intern. I want to intern for that community. Then most of our conversation usually happen on the GitHub because they one group for us. That was where we go there, ask questions, and I and they usually answer, except for private question that I have to mail again. Then that was how I found my mentor and I joined the community too. Then I think that's what I did. That we did talk on the GitHub profile and I mailed them to get the GitHub profile. It's one that directed me to GitHub and that was it.
Yeah, thanks for sharing, Monsurat. And just like Monsurat mentioned, um, she didn't get the email on time via her email address. And what she did after seeing so many persons rejoicing about the results was to check on the Outreachy website under her profile, and that was where she got she saw and confirmed that the application that she submitted was successful. So when the application is out 6th of March and everybody is online talking about the fact that they've been accepted, you can go to your website, the Outreachy website, to confirm that on your profile. But the email is going to like enter your email address, the one you registered with, but you can fast track the process by checking on the website. Okay, so let's move over to Halima now. Halima, do you want to tell us the steps, your reaction? Please feel free to tell us your reaction. This shouldn't be too serious. It's a chat. We are trying to like enlighten and educate applicants. So let us bring the fun part of it. It's not it's a good thing. So let's show our applicants that this was how I felt. Oh, I felt so good when I saw my name or when I got the mail. I was really happy. This was the next step. Let's bring the vibe. Yeah,
Yeah,
Alima,
yeah. So
over to you now.
basically, all of what Omasula just said, that I was really happy and I was really excited. But yeah, when actually when you submit your initial application, you get a date that on this certain day it will be announced that if you are accepted or not, and then the contribution phase will start. So I was already, reloading my email every few minutes to see if the email is there or not and if I got in or not. So I was already very excited for it, and when I received this email, it's going to a very comprehensive email, so you have to go through it multiple times to make sense of everything that is written there, because they guide you properly for each and everything. And from there, I just after that, I just logged into my Outreachy account, where it's announced that okay, you are accepted and you can contribute. And from there on, you will see that all the organizations and all the projects that are there, more details will be available to you. You will be unlocking more detailed steps on contribution and everything. So when I got accepted, I was very happy, excited, but I was overwhelmed too, because there were so many organizations, and it gets it it really scares you at times when you see that okay, there is so much to do, so many great organizations, and you have this opportunity to contribute, and you are at a place where you can do, and you can reach out to a lot of people. So how did I pick the project? It was basically if you are an intern, or if you are someone who is intending to contribute, you will already know that you have some what's your choice in terms of what you want to do. Like for example, I am not a designer, or I do not have any experience in the UI/UX domain, so that really helps you figure out if you want to go with this project or not, because the projects are also role specific at times too, in terms of it's not just development, it's a lot of things that you will find on the project space. There will be technical writers, there will be programmers, there will be designers, and even I saw some projects which I was really amazed by. They were related to research in a specific domain, and I found that really cool, that they just need a person who can do this certain kind of research, and they need that kind of expertise. So this helps you narrow down which communities you want to work with, because you might have a different direction in your mind for yourself. And the next thing that helped me was basically talking to the community. All the communities that were part of our Shiji are extremely helpful, and they make you feel very, you can say, safe, in terms of that you can ask any question. So I when I opened the projects page, there was so much information there. I got overwhelmed, but I read it multiple times to understand all of it. And then it will clearly tell you who to contact, who is your mentor, or who are the mentors, because there might be multiple people handling that project, and you can reach out to them in the public chat forums, or you can reach out to them personally if you don't feel that comfortable, because everyone is always welcome. So as long as you are asking questions, you are okay with asking questions, you will be fine you don't have to worry about asking in public or private. As long as you are asking, you will get a response and people will help you. So these were the steps that I took, and I got in contact with the different communities. Uh, Another thing is that when you become an like when you are contributing, you can contribute to multiple organizations. So this is also something that gets very overwhelming, because uh, every community is very different, their product or their project is very different. So you can contribute to multiple organizations, but it is always a good idea to narrow it down as much as you can, because otherwise it will be very distracting. So this helped me too, because I narrowed it down to very few communities that I was really excited to work with. And then I found amazing mentors and amazing people who were guiding me and helping me, because believe me, as an intern or as an aspiring intern, I was someone who was asking random questions in random chats about how I can build this in my machine, why is this not working. And then people were responding, because they knew I'm an outreach intern, I might be new, I might not know. So yeah.
Oh my God. Thank you so much for sharing that lot of information. If you are just joining this chat, please you can listen to the insights that have been shared so far later. And for the sake of those that are just joining, Halima is sharing the steps that they took when they got to know about the results being out. They mentioned that they saw it in their mail, and it was kind of a very bulky mail with a lot of information. Please take your time to go through it, just like Alima mentioned. Go through it. All the steps you are supposed or you're expected to take are written in them. And just like Monsurat also highlighted, it is very important for you to read the projects, the community projects you want to pick very well, and be sure this is something that interests you. This is something you're passionate about, because you are going to need that when everything becomes what's the word that Alima used now? Okay, let me skip that part. When you need to prove yourself during the contribution stage, when you need to show up, when you need to do contribute and show up and show up well, you are going to need that passion, that interest in the project you've picked. Okay, so let me officially welcome Redeem once again. I know there have been some back and forth, so I'm just going to allow you to introduce yourself, tell us your name, where you're joining us from, the Outreachy community you're working with, and your role at the community. Over to you now, Redeem. You're muted.
Okay, it's my audio. Is it okay now?
Yes.
Great. Okay. Okay. I'm Redeem. I'm interning at ODK-X community. I'm a Java, Android, Backend, and Frontend developer. Yeah. But the code is December to March. December 2021 to March.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much for joining us once.
Thank you so.
We've been asking some questions, and I'm just going to be asking you, like in summary, tell us how you prepared after submitting your initial application. How did you prepare for, like, what was the waiting period from the time you submitted your initial application to when you actually got your results? What was it like for you? And how were you preparing yourself?
Okay. The way I prepare myself, um, before I took them before the initial application, right? Okay. Before initial
After
application,
submitting the initial application.
yeah. Okay. Yeah. I got to know. I did a background check about the community I was interested in. I did a background check. I went through the project. I went through past projects, right? Past projects. I went through past projects and I looked at them, and the ones that were like consistent, that were like appearing each year. So I took a look at it, a background history of it. I went to the forums, checked how they were doing things. So I got myself familiar with it. Then also I prepared my tools. My tools, yeah, I reschedule my programs and like programs that would interrupt with the Outreachy internship. So I have to reschedule my programs and make sure that if my initial application was accepted, I'm 100% ready for work. So the main takeaway here is before, let's say, before your initial application gets accepted, have do a background check on the projects you'd like to work on. Just go on the past projects and check the ones that interest you the most, so that you can familiarize yourself with it. Yeah, that's how I prepare.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing that. I'm going to move over to Hilia now. Can you please explain to us when you saw your results or the results of your initial application, how did you feel? And what are the steps you took after seeing that you are qualified for the next stage?
Okay, thank you. So one, again, I'll keep on repeating this. Like I was not expecting to be accepted. So I'm seeing Sage on the chat answering, like will be applications. You'll know your what is it, like the outcome of your application on such a date and such a time. So at that time, I just logged off my email because I didn't want to receive that rejection email, because again, I was not expecting to be accepted. But then again, now that bug of, okay, I really need to know what's happening. So I opened my email and yay, the congratulations, whatever. And it was really exciting for me, but then at the same time, then it hit with the real imposter syndrome. Like, did I just get in out of luck? Did these people pity me? For instance, just let me in. Was my story so, and my essay, was it so, like, so it came with a lot of doubts for me. That's what I'd say. But then even before Outreachy, like I've been doing technical writing before, so I pretty much knew that even if I get in, that those will be the projects that I'll be looking for. So once I logged into my portal, I just kind of looked at the company, the organizations that are taking part in this round of Outreachy, and anything that was documentation in the title, that's what I was going for. And lucky thing is, so I graduated from computer science last year, and in my computer science classes, we were using Jupyter. If you know about Jupyter Hub, not even Jupyter Hub. So if you're doing computer science, you've been using Project Jupyter notebooks to just run anything, like if you're doing machine learning or if you're doing anything related to data science. So right along, I knew about Jupyter notebooks. So when I got into that, my dashboard, and I saw there's Project Jupyter involved, that immediately piqued my interest. And then it was Project Jupyter with a documentation title in it. So I was like, yay, I've gotten my perfect match. So that's how I got what I wanted to work with, the project I wanted to work with. But as Haleema said, you just have to work with something that plays to your strengths. So for instance, I knew that I've been practicing technical writing before, so I just wanted to do something related to technical writing. So that was my first criteria of just marking down anything the project, because there are lots and everything is enticing and everything seems like you can do everything, but then you just have to work with that project that you feel this is something that you're excited about. Will you be happy to contribute to it? So that's how I landed at Jupyter Hub. And so even after getting into the instructions themselves, there were very detailed instructions on how you can contact the mentors and how you can make your contributions. And so for us, anybody who was contributing to my project, now Jupyter Hub, we didn't have the luxury of connecting with our mentors directly. Like they just mentioned in the instructions that unless it's a very personal matter or a very urgent matter, please do not send us personal emails. But then the good thing is there are all these communication channels that they told us that we can use. So for instance, if you're using GitHub, you can always ping them. If they have different communication channels. So that will vary depending on the different programs. Some mentors would, won't mind you sending them emails, but then some will also just, there'll be clear guidelines on how you can connect and communicate with your mentors. So that's how I met my mentors. That's how I met the project that I'm working on. And yeah, you can contribute to more than one project. But then again, for me, I just wanted to work on something that was exciting to me. And so I only made one contribution. So again, I'm saying it's possible to be a first-time contributor to open source projects, a first-time Outreachy applicant, and just make one application and still get in. Back to
Yeah.
you, Eunice.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. So I'm going to like summarize everything we've been discussing for the sake of those that are just joining us. Halima, thank you so much. I can see you're answering questions in the chat on YouTube. Thank you. We really appreciate that. So for those that are just joining, this is the Outreachy Coffee Chat with interns. So we have interns from the December 2022 cohort here, and they've been discussing their experience. They're sharing their experience from the time they submitted their initial application to the contribution stage, how they got in and how they started contributing. So for the sake of those that are just probably hearing of Outreachy for the first time, or maybe you have not even submitted your initial application, so Outreachy program runs twice a year, and currently the round that is starting in May, the initial application has closed. The next initial application will be opened around August. So you can check on the Outreachy website to see the full schedule, and you can go through it to pick the one that suits you. Outreachy is open to everyone, everywhere in the world. Um, Despite there's no barrier. Like you can apply to join Outreachy irrespective of your background, your career path. We have interns. I know Monsurat studied, I think, microbiology. Uh, Allan just mentioned that they studied computer science. I know Outreachy interns that probably even studied. There's someone that studied agriculture, something around that. You know, we have Outreachy support diversity in tech. You can come from any career path in and join Outreachy as an intern. And the good thing is, aside being a remote paid internship, you don't need a prior, you don't need to be an expert contributing to open source before you can join Outreachy. So that's another very good thing. So that I'm just explaining this for the sake of those that have not submitted their initial application. These are things you should know. And for those that have submitted their initial application for the May 2023 round, congratulations. The results will be held by 6th of March, and you're going to receive the results by via your email. If you didn't get your results on time via your email, you have the privilege to check the Outreachy website under your profile to know where you stand. And just like Haleema and Monsurat and earlier mentioned, I guess just as they mentioned, please check your email by 6th of March, I think 4 p.m. UTC. So check your email to confirm uh if your application was successful. If yes, congratulations again. And please read. Alima mentioned that something that stood out for them was that they read all the instruction that was contained in the mail. So please read. It contains every information you need to know. And right now that you're waiting for your initial application results, check past out Richie intern chat. the chart or the blog post written by interns to learn more about their project community, to learn more about their projects. You can check the Outreachy website for past projects, and you can better understand, place yourself, find something that you're passionate about in preparation for your contribution phase. Okay, so thank you so much for sharing your insights so fast. Now, I understand we've been sharing insights about our experience. Now, let's talk about the applicants. There are lots of mistakes that applicants used to make during this period. I know for your during your own round, during your contribution stage, you were not the only one that was contributing to that particular project. And there are some steps that you might probably have taken that has actually make you like stand tall among every other persons. So let's treat like the common mistakes that some applicants might make, or they are making, or they might make. So let's talk about these common mistakes that you advise applicants who will soon be contributors to watch out for, so they don't make this mistake. It might be common mistakes that these persons can make that might make their contribution not successful. So I'm going to start with Alima.
Um, okay, so I think so. If when Omotola just mentioned mistakes, so I just wanted to clarify one thing, that when you submit a PR or a contribution, that is never going to be a mistake, or that is, like, by mistake we are not talking about you making any technical errors or you not, getting your PR merged in the first go, because it's not a mistake as long as it's a learning process for you. By mistake, I think the most common one is uh, people get overwhelmed, and when they say this huge list of communities, they try to contribute to multiple places, and and throughout that process they forget, I think, the most important thing, which is not about being an expert, but it is about being consistent in their efforts. So you might be a beginner in some technology and you will be great in making contributions as long as you are making consistent effort to learn from the feedback. Because you when you will submit your first PR, you will get a lot of comments, you will get detailed reviews from your mentors or other senior developers, and that is the case with every one of us who is part of Outreachy or an intern or an alum, because everyone got extensive and detailed reviews their first time, and then the only difference between them and maybe others is that they incorporated this feedback and remain consistent because they thought of it as a learning journey rather than being perfect or getting it right at the very first moment. So don't you don't have to get worried if your PR is not getting merged, because I think that happens with a lot of interns, and even many of my PRs were still open after my contribution phase ended, and that was totally okay. And I'm still sitting here because uh, the community and the mentors and everyone sees the effort you are putting in versus the perfect PR that gets merged the very first day. So it's about your approach to learning. And then another thing that is important is being very, like, asking a lot of questions. So even if you don't have any question, I would still say please find a question and ask your mentors, because that is always a good thing to practice. Because there are times when you might be missing something and you might not even know, because you will think that you have got it all right, but just mentioning it in front of anyone will help you. Another thing that I have seen with a lot of interns is that when you contribute, at the end of the contribution phase you have to submit a final application to be eligible for this whole process. So a lot of people don't end up making a final application, and that is one thing I think that is a very very big mistake, because we judge ourselves a lot, and then when we judge ourselves, we think that okay, we are not enough, or maybe these other people are way ahead of us, so maybe they will get selected, so why bother even submitting a final application? But um, it's just an application, just fill it. Please submit your final applications, and you might never know who they pick, because they just don't see the level of expertise. And I would urge this the most, that just don't think it's about the technical expertise that you have. It's about a lot of things, your ability to learn things, how you collaborate, how you talk to other people, how you help other people out, because it's not a competition. So please submit your
Thank
final applications and ask a lot of questions. Even if they sound lame or stupid in your head, just try to rephrase those words and ask someone, and you will learn great things.
Mhm. Thank you so much for sharing that. You've heard Alima. Ask questions, don't be scared to ask questions. Make sure you ask for clarification. And again, ask questions. And in Omotola's words, I'll say engage with your community, engage with your mentors, engage with other contributors, other community members that are there. You can't like overlook the power of community. They will help you a lot. They will get you engaged, and you feel like you're doing the right thing, and the positivity will just be there because you're showing up every day. Okay, thank you so much. I'll point this question to Redeem, and I'll ask the other guest another question. So Redeem, do you want to like point out some things that you know might be like a mistake that applicants should look out for? You're muted.
Okay, yeah. There are actually many mistakes many applicants make um, when they start doing the contribution phase. There are many mistakes they make. Like I've had experience. Like actually, this is my first time applying for Outreachy. Like my fourth attempt. So my final attempt, I made it. So during my last failures, I got a lot of experiences. Mistakes I made that that they never selected me because of those mistakes. So the first mistake is new applicants are always like frustrated when they come to a project. They're like, oh, they see they see a lot of people contributing, and they're like confused. They don't know where to start. They're like, oh, this person A is doing this, person B is doing this. That means this is my project. Let me not shy. Let me just run away. Like this is not for me. So that's the first mistake, and the second mistake is most new applicants they try as Haleema Raleigh said they try to tackle many projects at once. Like for example, one time I saw one person was like in five projects, five said he saw this I want to work on this project, another one he's there work on this project and work on that. So that sometimes makes other applicants overwhelmed, like confused, like what's happening? Why is the guy everywhere? So stop tackling many projects at once. That's not going to help you. Maybe work some people. Some people like work on two projects and they go selected for one. Work some people, but it's not for everybody. If you cannot do it, then I advise you just pick one project and do your best. And then the second mistake is the applicants start contributing late. They start contributing maybe towards the end of the internship. After that, like frustrated a lot in the beginning, so they now start contributing like when the contribution phase is almost ending. So try your best, like try to be the first person to contribute in your organization. Like for this internship, before I was selected for this internship, I was actually the first guy who started contributing in my organization. I was the first person to start working on an issue. So when I heard my results, when the initial application just came out, I just started contribution at that same moment. I just started contributing. So first thing is try to do your best to contribute early. Do your best to contribute early, and it's really going to help you in the long run. And another mistake is let me say People shy from help. They avoid seeking for help. If you are faced with any difficulties, if you are faced with any problem, try your best to ask the mentors. Like within the first 1 to 3 hours you got stuck, try your best, do your best to seek help from your mentors. Try to email them. Yeah, email them. Some mentors prefer emails to normal like communication channels like Slack and other like some prefer emails. Emails are faster. So try to seek for help within 1 to 3 hours when you're stuck. So the number four problem is um, many you don't try to help others. You don't help. Open source is all about collaboration. Open source is all about collaboration. So once you don't try to help others, it's usually a chance of being selected because what the mentors look at is, oh, they're trying to like look at the aspect of you being a team player. Open source is all about team player. Like it's like a teamwork. You cannot do it alone. So try to help others too. Don't be afraid. Like, oh, okay, if I help this guy, he might get selected, and I'll not get selected. Forget about aspect. Just try to help as many as you can, help as many people as you can during the contribution phase. That's going to increase the chance of being selected as an intern.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. I think I missed something and I really want to confirm that. Did you mention that this internship period is your fourth time applying for Outreachy?
Yeah, my fault actually.
So this is just to tell applicants out there who probably feel they've applied once, they have applied twice, and they didn't get in, and they feel they can't apply it again. So this is one of our interns saying this is the fourth time, and for the past three period that they have applied, they've actually learned one or two things, and they combine everything that they learned at these different stages together to enhance to ensure they have a better contribution, and now they are part of the outreach program as an intern, and they are doing awesome well. So you can listen again to the different mistakes they've highlighted. When you join, you will feel overwhelmed. Calm yourself down, and this is why it is important for you to go for a project that you are really passionate about. A project you might not know about the project, but when you read the details of the project, you understand if this is something that interests you. Because when you are overwhelmed and you feel like you don't want to go again, the interest will be something that will keep you on your feet. And just like Ella mentioned as well, this was their first time, and they gathered everything together. They checked the project and they picked very something that interests them. So all these things are things you should take note of. And Alima mentioned that your application is not complete even after contributing for several times and you didn't submit your final application. So during the contribution stage, we are still going to be having two more sections like this. We're going to be one is going to be directed towards feeling overwhelmed, how you should continue showing up, and the last one is going to be to remind you to submit your final application, the steps and every other thing you should know. So don't go ahead and pick 10 projects. The least outreachy organizers will encourage you to pick is 1 to 2, and make sure you can contribute very well to the 1 to 2. Just like we did mention that you can pick 5 projects and at the end of the day you didn't get into outreachy because you are not able to give the 5 projects your best. So it is advisable to just pick between 1 to 2 and give it your very best. Okay, thank you so much. The next question is for Monsurat, because I remember there was a time we talked about your contribution period, and you mentioned that you deleted something, you had to start over again, and it was really frustrating. So I really want you to like answer this question. So was there a point during your contribution period that you doubted yourself and you're asking yourself, how did you get there? How are you going to overcome this? How do you go from here? Was there that point where you at that point during your contribution period, Monsurat?
Um,
Hi, Monsurat.
okay, so you made me remember that gist. So, I can you hear me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so during my contribution phase, I actually doubted myself a lot, like a whole lot, because okay now my contribution was not like the normal contribution of solve an issue, create a pull request and all. Like it was more of let's see how you can use this library in real life. Like our goal of this library is to like our goal of the library is to use it um to convert a model. Like a model is used in like is a machine learning term, so it is used for machine training data and all. So we want to use a model in another field, like okay, a python model. We want to like use that same model and use we want to like use it in a ONX field or ONX library. So they were like, okay, use this library to come. It is something that I've never used before. I've never heard about it before. And next thing, contribution is use this thing and use it to create a library, like create a Python script. Then I want you to use this thing and convert a model, like an existing model, train it, convert it, then use it in a Python in a create a Python script, then use our model to convert it, then make sure that it is working the same way that it is working in its natural environment. So I actually I was like, okay, let me just do the simple task of conversion that they give us, and I went through it. But I lost it. I don't know how I got it deleted and also I actually went through a lot that time because I was everywhere because it was almost time for like that's why it is important to submit, because if I had not submitted early that time, I would that time that I went through this issue that I'm explaining now, it will be too late for me to like make my submit a contribution. So when I went through the issue, I was able to do it and all. So it actually gave me confidence in doing what like the main task, the second task that we were asked to do. It actually gave me confidence because I actually when I did the project, I start all over again. I understand the library more. I was able to know exactly what to do. Because once you do simple thing, you do it once, you do it twice, you'll be able to like do the next hard thing. It won't be like you just going to do the next one. So I actually doubted myself when I was doing the second thing because I was like, how am I going to do this thing? How will I be able to do it? But because I've had the experience the second time when I was redoing the project all over again, I was able to redo it in the tax, and that was how I was able to like make my contribution.
Awesome, awesome. So, in summary, what Mansura was trying to explain was that during the contribution stage, they are to work on something that's not been used before. The community wanted them to use it in real life, and this was the first time they're attempting
In
that. After,
summary, what Mansura was trying to explain was that during the contribution stage, they are to
okay, so Mansura, try to mute yourself. So, and after this work, a lot of work they've done, unlike what Alima said, that you should make sure you submit your final application. You can always like edit it. They failed to submit and they mistakenly deleted everything. And I guess they were frustrated. You can imagine you have been working on something for the first time, you've been doing a lot of things, your mentor have reviewed, and you deleted it. And they mentioned that they were really scared. They didn't want to tell their mentor that they've deleted it. So they were really disorganized. They had to start working on it over again and record the contribution and they were able to submit. So this is just to tell you out there that during your contribution phase, start recording your contribution. No contribution is too small. Start recording your contribution. Okay. So the next question I have here is for Ilan. Are you there? Yeah. Okay. So what stood out for you during the contribution stage? Just summarize it for you, for us. What stood out for you as a person during the phase?
Okay. I'd say two things. So one is just how extremely helpful the mentors are. Because as I was saying, like working with Git and GitHub was still kind of new to me. So a lot of mistakes I could make sometimes also in the contribution phase, because sometimes you're working on the same repository, somebody changes something and then you change that other thing, and then they conflict somewhere, and then so how to resolve that could be like a really big challenge, but then the mentors were able to help me through that. So one thing that stood out for me was just how extremely, maybe it was my community, but then I think it spreads across all the mentors, like how helpful everyone is. And then also just the other interns, I think it was Redeem who said that you also just have to be helpful to other people. So just apart from the mentors, to also the other applicants, the contributors, like, so everyone was kind of like helping each other to just resolve a certain issue. The second thing was, this is really personal, but it came like I really strengthened the belief in myself, because then I could, like really take this off. And again, your contributions will always be sitting on your GitHub repository, your GitHub account, for instance. So, and then just looking back at all that work that I did, that was like a really good point of pride for me. So those were the two things that stood out for me during the contribution phase. Back to you.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing that. And for the questions we have in the chat, that said, do you how do we record our contribution? Okay. um we contribute as a group or as an individual? You contribute as an individual, but a lot of other persons are contributing to that same project that you've picked alongside with you. And is it necessary to write final application? Yes. Your application to Outreach, to be part of Outreachy program, is not complete without your final application. And that is why Alima mentioned that you should read the mail that you're going to receive very well. Read everything in the mail. You're going to get every information you need. All these questions are going to be answered. How you're going to pick your project, how you're going to reach out to your mentors, how you're going to connect to the open source community that you've picked, how you're going to submit your final application, and so on and so forth. I also mentioned that we're going to be having two more chats during the contribution phase to address the issue of overwhelming, you feel tired, you don't feel like continuing, how to keep showing up, and the last one will be focused on submitting your final application. And we don't encourage you to wait to when we have the final chat on how to submit your final application before you start asking questions on how to submit this final application and actually submitting your final application. Okay, so we're trying to round up, and I'm going to ask Monsurat this question. Monsurat, what advice will you give those who have submitted their initial application? Hi, Monsurat. You're muted. Okay.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
So I will advise those who have submitted their initial application that even though when the contribution phase come, if you are successful, just know that if you should see it, just make sure that you finish, you've started this already, so just make sure that you finish it. And it's actually simple. All these things that you are seeing is hard because it's so overwhelming now. once you make a roadmap for yourself, break it into smaller tasks. So when you are doing this, okay, I'm done with this thing, it will actually motivate you to like go to the next step instead of you just seeing it as a whole like a whole lot of things. Just see, okay, this thing is small task, okay, I've done it, then move to the next thing. I've done, before you know it, you'll be done in due time. I think the contribution phase is like 30 days or so. So you can actually make it, finish a task in maybe 3 4 days, then move to the next task. So it will make you not to be overwhelmed at the end of the contribution. Because if you are looking at it like a whole lot of tasks and oh, they asked us to do this, they asked us to do that, it will be easy for you to give up. So just break it to small tasks, and once you are done, you can move on to the next task, you can move on to the next task, you can move on to the next task. Then another advice is that don't look at it like, oh, there are a lot of people that are complaining, I might not be using my codes, my, even if it is full stop that you want to like add to. I'm not saying you should add full stop, but like a small issue that you want to like solve, don't say just solve it. Don't say, okay, it's not doing big thing. What I want to do is not actually plenty. I'm not doing it. There are people that are doing bigger things. Don't look at it. You, so just make sure that you concentrate. Make sure that you finish. You've started this already. Just make sure that you finish. Have it at the back of your mind that you will be choosing, and that will help. Because if you are like, this thing, oh, there are plenty people that are doing this thing, there will be people that will be better than me. Yeah, just know that there's nobody better than you. You're actually the best. For you to be in this phase, yeah, you're already like doing something right. So just see it through.
Thank you so much for the positive words and those kind words. Just like you, Ed Monsurat, believe you can do it. I'm an advocate of bring your positivity. You want this thing, you can get it. And the fact that you've actually applied, you've seen this opportunity, you've applied and you got in, it's actually a show that you can do it. A lot of persons are going to be contributing, you're going to feel overwhelmed, and just like Monsurat mentioned, break everything down into pieces and show up every day. Show up, ask questions. Earlier mentioned that you should help other people as well. Collaborate together, ask questions, support someone, help someone with their question. You answering someone else's question. Your mentors are noticing all these things. You need to be very active, engage in the community, and yes, so, Alima, before I think this is like the second to the last question I have for Alima. Alima, please tell us what stood out for you during the contribution stage. I know you are busy answering a lot of questions in the chat. Thank you. So tell us what stood out for you during the contribution stage, and I really wanted to give 2 to 3 advice for the applicants.
Um, Answering your first question, so what stood out for me during the contribution stage? So I think it was the attitude of the whole community overall, because I was going into this without much expectations. So I did not know what to expect from the community, because um, the communities I was working with, I had a very different kind of experience. So I had no experience in what I was actually contributing in. And then I was not expecting the mentors and the overall community to be really supportive. And then everyone was available to answer a lot of questions. Even when I talk about the community, it just does not mean the mentors only. I am talking about the whole community. So when you will find a project, you will join the community's public forum, you will see a lot of contributors from all over the world. And if you ask them a question, because you are there because of Outreachy, but they are there because they might be uh, an open source developer, or they might be interested in that community, so they will be there to help you. And at a lot of times, I got answers from a lot of people who I did not even see them later, like apart from my mentors, because when you are based in different time zones, it's hard for every mentor to be available at all times for you. So I got my issues debugged by a lot of community members. So yeah, that really stood out for me because seeing that someone is putting some few moments of their day and trying to help me, and they don't even know me, and even they did not even know what Outreachy program is or why I'm there. So, but they were still helping me. So that really stood out for me. And another thing was that my mentors throughout the whole journey, they encouraged me to ask a lot of questions, and they used to write really detailed responses. That was even for the smallest of things that were pretty lame. But yeah, they were very responsive, and they did not made me feel awkward, or not just me, like other fellow contributors too. So this really stood out. And then what advice I would give? So I think I have mentioned this before, but I would just say that it's not about the ultimate goal. I think it's about the process. So when you will start your contributions from day one, it's not about getting 10 PRs merged. It's about the learning journey and everything that you are learning from all the reviews that you get, be it related to the technical side of things or non-technical side of things, because at a lot of times all their contributions don't need to be that technical. You might be contributing to their documentation, you might be contributing in some other way to the community, and that is also considered as a contribution. So focus on the learning journey. And I just read in the chat that can we contribute before getting accepted, or do we have to contribute after that? So think of it as contributing to an open source platform. You can contribute to multiple places as long as your aim is to learn, and you want to contribute to something out there. You want to add your, like, use your technical expertise or your expertise for something. So yes, for Outreachy, your contributions will be counted after getting accepted. But if you are someone who is really interested in learning something new, then your journey doesn't have to stop with Outreachy. Or it's even for those who are not able to make it to this round of internship, I would just say that uh, don't think of it as a goal that, okay, if I get accepted, then I'll do this, that. You can still contribute to those organizations even if you're not accepted. So it is not something that is specific to Outreachy, or if like someone will stop you, they will be more than happy to cater you and be happy that, okay, someone who is based in this part of the world is willing to contribute to this community, and they are so excited about it. uh, so yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. So the last question is going to be for Ilian and Redeem. So thank you so much. Before I ask the question, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much for your inputs. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences. I'm sure the Outreachy applicants have learned a lot from you. Once again, we appreciate you. Thank you. Please, you can appreciate our guests in the chat. They will also see that. So let me start with Redeem. Redeem, any 3 words? Okay, I think you should summarize your Outreachy experience using 3 words. What will you say? You're
Okay.
muted. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, okay, this one is a little bit tough. Because
Sorry for
like
putting you on that spot.
okay. I
Do
can
you
say
want
it
me to
was
come back to you? Do you want me to
pardon?
ask someone else and probably come back? Are you comfortable answering that question now?
Yeah, I'm comfortable. I think it was a little bit challenging. Yeah, that's how I can summarize it. It's a little bit challenging and also a learning process. So anyways, a bit more than 3 words, but it was challenging.
It's accepted. So it's challenging, but it's a learning process, and it's
Yeah,
worth it. Let me add that to it for you.
yeah, it's
It's
worth it. It's worth it.
it's still worth it. Okay.
Yeah, it's worth
Thank
it.
you so much. Thank you so much. Ellen, do you want to add your three words?
Yeah, sure. For me, I'd say scary, interesting,
Oh
and
my.
fulfilling. Scary because, yeah, again, I'll still come back to that very same thing. I didn't expect to get in, and so getting in was like, oh my goodness, what's going to happen? Um, Interesting because I was working on an interesting project and really learning new things and new ways of communicating and new tools of really just doing technical writing. Fulfilling because because really I made meaningful contributions, and maybe that's one thing that I could add. Like we call it make a contribution, but please make meaningful contributions. So how you define meaningful, that's up to you. So I did make meaningful contributions that I was really proud of, and
Hmm.
yeah, so scary, interesting, and fulfilling would be for me.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for using those powerful tools. I don't want to miss Alima and Masura. I don't know if they want to share their three words too, but I know we are far beyond schedule. But I think we are carried away because we are sharing something worth it. So if you feel like you still want to share your three words, please feel free to unmute yourself and yeah, let's have you.
I can go first. So, if I had to describe it in three words, I would say that it was inspiring, meaningful, and then growth oriented.
Hmm.
And I just wanted to give a shout out to my mentors too, because they have contributed a lot to the overall journey and made this how it is. And also the outreachy community managers, because this thing, like we talk about mentors helping the interns and everyone, but I think this thing is, I don't know lesser known or not, but you still see the community managers like Sage is helping you answering all those questions, and you are in the chat and telling everything. So they are with you at every step, and then the whole outreach community is helping you, get familiar with the whole process, make it easy for you. So it is because of the joint effort of the communities and the organizers that you are able to say this today.
Thank you for sharing that. Inspiring, meaningful, and growth oriented. Okay, Basura, do you want to go? No? Hi, Monsurat. Okay, I think Monsurat, are you there? Okay, okay. Thank. Okay, I think she's back. Are you...
Exactly.
So, Monsurat, we can't hear you properly. Um. Okay, you can try to mute, put your video off, and try to speak again.
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you now. Okay, so sorry about that. We can't hear you. Okay, I think you are back now.
Okay,
Hi,
that's.
Monsurat.
Okay.
Hi.
I am sorry for that. So, my three words will be inspiring, because it is actually very inspiring. I get to like meet, talk to people that actually like that I actually don't ever imagine of meeting or talking to. So it is actually very inspiring. I was so inspired by a lot of people. I was able to talk to my mentors, people that I look up to. I was able to talk to them, and it is all because of this opportunity. Then I would say challenging. It is very challenging
Hmm.
because apart from the result on his own, this minutes I'm acing it. I'm having the time of my life. I'm in the conclusion. The next minute, I'm like, who sent me message? Like, but it was like I do it over and over and over again. Even though it is challenging, I still, it actually make me, it's all putting me on my toes, putting my brain on it over time, and it is actually my last is it is very educating. There are a lot of things that I get to unlearn during the internship phase. I get to unlearn, relearn, and learn new things that I wouldn't have learned if I was not in it. That's for me.
Okay, thank you so much for that. For those asking if they can connect with the guest, if you check the description to this video, under this video now, you're going to see the contacts of our guests there. Please feel free to connect with them, ask them questions. I'm very sure they are open to share more about their experience and also to guide you during your contribution phase. So, thank you so much, everyone, for joining today. We appreciate your time and I wish everyone the best of luck. I can't wait to congratulate you all. I can't wait to welcome you to the contribution phase. And I can't wait to see you in our next chat. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the Outreachy channel and turn your notification bell, turn it on so that when we start any chat or when we put up any chat, you can as well get the notification. See you in our next chat and thank you everyone for joining. Bye bye.